There comes a night in every person's life when the weight of their struggle feels unbearable. A night when the silence is so heavy it echoes in your chest. When your tears become prayers you can't even put into words. When you wonder if God still sees you, if He still hears you, if He still cares. And I came to tell you, with all the conviction of heaven behind these words, your struggle ends tonight. God is about to show up. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it yet. But God has already begun to move on your behalf. The heavens are stirring. The hand of God is shifting things that seemed immovable. Every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered in the dark, every silent battle you fought when no one was watching, God saw it, and He has not forgotten you. The pain that pressed you down was not to destroy you, but to prepare you. The very night that feels endless right now is the night before the miracle. God is about to step into your situation in a way that will silence every doubt, break every chain, and turn your mourning into strength. You see, God often waits until it seems impossible before He shows up. That's how He reveals His power. He allows the storm to rage until your strength is gone, so that when He moves, there's no question. It was God alone. Tonight may be the darkest moment of your life, but it's also the turning point. This is the night heaven draws near. This is the hour when divine power meets human surrender. God never abandons those who trust Him, even when He seems silent. Silence does not mean absence. It means preparation. God has been preparing something that your eyes could not see, but your faith was meant to hold on to. You've walked through seasons that broke your heart, people that betrayed you, doors that slammed shut, and dreams that seemed to die. You've wondered why it had to hurt so much, why the struggle lasted so long, why your prayers seemed unanswered. But hear this, the struggle was not the end. It was the path to your awakening. Every hardship was shaping your spirit, cleansing your heart, teaching you to depend on God alone. When the world stripped everything away, it forced you to look up and realize that God was your only source. You learned that when God is all you have, God is all you need. And when that truth sinks deep into your soul, nothing can defeat you again. God is about to show you that He wastes nothing. The pain that almost broke you is about to become the evidence of His power in your life. The very thing that made you question His plan will soon make you shout with gratitude. There's a reason He allowed you to reach this point. There's a reason the doors didn't open when you wanted them to. There's a reason people walked out, plans failed, and you were left standing alone. It was never punishment. It was positioning. God had to clear the path of distractions so that when His blessing comes, it will rest on a heart that knows where the glory belongs. Tonight, I want you to lift your head and breathe this truth deep into your soul. God has not forgotten you. He knows your name. He knows the sleepless nights, the hidden battles, the quiet cries you thought no one noticed. He knows how hard you've tried to stay strong when everything inside you wanted to collapse. And He's saying, enough. The struggle ends tonight. Not because the world has changed, but because your spirit is about to rise with new strength. God is stepping into your situation, and nothing will stay the same. When God shows up, He doesn't need permission. He doesn't need circumstances to align. He doesn't need anyone's approval. When God decides it's your time, no power on earth can stop it. The very forces that tried to destroy you will become the instruments of your victory. The delay that frustrated you was not denial. It was divine timing. God was aligning everything so that your blessing arrives in its perfect season. And that season begins tonight. You might say, but I've prayed for years and nothing happened. My friend, when you pray, God always moves, even when you can't see it. Sometimes He moves beneath the surface, rearranging things you don't yet understand. Sometimes He holds back an answer because He's protecting you from what you thought you wanted. Sometimes He lets you walk through the fire not to burn you, but to purify you. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. The waiting was never wasted. Every delay carried purpose. Every setback carried direction. God has been building something within you that can withstand the weight of what He's about to give you. You've been through seasons that didn't make sense, but you're still here. That means something. You survived what others didn't. You stood when everything tried to make you fall. You kept believing when your faith was hanging by a thread. You held on when the world told you to give up. And because of that, God is about to honor your endurance. The reward is not just what you will receive, it's who you have become. You've become stronger, wiser, deeper, and more anchored in faith. That's what God was after all along. The struggle taught you to trust God beyond understanding. It stripped away your pride, your control, your plans, and it forced you to lean on the unseen. And that's where the real miracle happens. When faith replaces fear, when you no longer look for signs, but simply trust that God is working behind the curtain of your pain. Tonight, God is saying, I've seen your struggle, and I am stepping in. Some of you have been fighting battles in your mind, fear, anxiety, doubt, and exhaustion. You've tried to appear strong on the outside, but inside, you've been falling apart. But the moment you let go of control and surrender everything to God, something shifts. Peace begins to flow where panic once lived. Strength rises where weakness once ruled. Hope lights the corners of your soul that were once dark. Surrender is not defeat. It's the key that unlocks divine intervention. God can't fill what's already full. He waits until you empty yourself of worry, control, and fear. Then He fills you with power, wisdom, and calm beyond explanation. You see, the struggle was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. You would never know how strong your faith could be if it wasn't tested. You would never understand the depth of God's love if you never walked through the valley. The greatest revelations come from the hardest seasons. That's why some people don't recognize your strength. They didn't see what you went through to get it. They didn't see the nights you prayed for light and kept walking even when none appeared. But God saw, and He's about to reward your faith in ways that will make every tear worth it. God is about to show up in your life so powerfully that those who doubted you will have no choice but to admit that only He could have done it. The very people who look down on you will see you lifted up by divine favor. The same circumstances that once defeated you will now serve as your testimony. That's the way God works. He takes what was meant for evil and turns it into good. He takes your pain and uses it to heal others. He takes your weakness and transforms it into your greatest strength. If you are listening to this right now, it's not by accident. God planned this moment for you. You needed to be reminded that the night is almost over. You needed to hear that the dawn is near. You needed to know that what's been heavy on your heart will not break you. It will bless you. God has heard your cry, and He's sending help from places you never expected. You may not know how, you may not know when, but it will happen. You are closer to your breakthrough than you've ever been. Some of you are standing at the edge of what looks like defeat, but you're actually standing on the threshold of destiny. The reason the pressure has been so intense is because you're about to give birth to something divine. The struggle has been great because the promise is great. God never allows deep pain unless He's preparing a deep purpose. Every tear watered the ground for your next season. Every disappointment cleared space for what's coming. You've been crying over what left, but God is about to replace it with something far better. You may feel forgotten, but you are chosen. You may feel broken, but you are blessed. You may feel weary, but you are about to be renewed. God is turning your struggle into strength, your pain into power, your waiting into a witness of His faithfulness. The night of sorrow is coming to an end, and the morning of victory is about to rise. When God shows up, He doesn't just fix what's broken, He makes it brand new. He restores, multiplies, and exceeds every expectation. You thought you lost too much to recover, but God can rebuild your life in a moment. What took years to fall apart can be healed in an instant when His power enters your situation. That's what happens when the divine touches the human. Nothing stays the same. The same God who split the sea, who calmed the storm, who raised kings and humbled empires, is still alive and moving in your life. He has not lost His power. He has not changed His nature. He is the same today as He was yesterday. And that same unstoppable power is on its way to your doorstep tonight. Hold your peace. Lift your head. The tears that fell last night were not wasted. They were seeds of breakthrough. The pain that crushed you was not the end. It was preparation for what's coming. God is about to show up in your life in such a way that you'll understand why it had to take this long, why it had to hurt this much, and why He made you wait until now. Because when it happens, it will be perfect. The struggle ends tonight, not because all your problems will vanish, but because your faith will rise higher than your fear. The same mountain that once intimidated you will now serve as a platform for your victory. You will look back on this season not with regret, but with gratitude, because you'll realize that every step, every tear, every loss was part of God's design to bring you here. So lift your heart and prepare yourself. The night of struggle is closing, and the dawn of divine intervention is near. God is not just coming to comfort you. He's coming to transform you. He's about to rewrite your story. The same hands that shaped the stars are reaching for you tonight. The same voice that commanded light to shine out of darkness is speaking into your chaos right now. Peace, be still. And when God speaks, everything changes. Stay still. Trust Him. Believe that even now, God is moving in ways unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. The struggle that defined your past will not define your future. God is about to show up. And when He does, everything you lost, everything you prayed for, everything you hoped for will find its place in His perfect plan. When God decides to move, He doesn't whisper. He shakes the heavens. He doesn't come timidly. He comes with power, clarity, and timing that cannot be altered by man. You've waited, you've endured, you've cried, and you've stood through storms that should have broken you. But what you didn't see was that every battle was building your spiritual backbone. Every sleepless night was teaching you resilience. Every unanswered prayer was pushing you deeper into faith. And now, heaven has declared that your season of struggle has served its purpose. God is stepping in, and when He does, everything that was against you will begin to bow to His will. God has a way of showing up when all human hope has run out. He waits until every door is closed, so that when He opens one, you'll know it was Him. He waits until your strength fails, so when you stand again, you'll know whose hand lifted you. God has watched your tears, your waiting, and your perseverance. He has seen the way you refused to give up, even when you were exhausted. And now the season of divine exchange is coming, where sorrow will be exchanged for peace, where confusion will give way to clarity, where loss will be met with restoration. God is about to turn your midnight into morning. Some people think struggle means that God has abandoned them, but the truth is the opposite. Struggle means God is still working. When life is easy, faith grows lazy. But when life presses you to your knees, that's when faith becomes alive. God uses struggle to stretch your spirit, to sharpen your hearing, to make you sensitive to His whispers. You may not realize it, but your struggle has been your training ground. While others were resting, you were being refined. While others were celebrating, you were being strengthened. The pain that others ran from became the place where you met God in a deeper way. That's why when you come out of this, You won't just survive, you'll emerge transformed. There's something sacred about the midnight hour. It's the hour when human strength ends and divine power begins. It's the hour when tears turn into prayers and prayers turn into miracles. You might be at that hour right now, but I want you to know that God works best in the dark. He created the world out of darkness. He brings beauty out of chaos. He turns emptiness into creation. And He's about to do the same in your life. You don't need to see how. It's enough that God has spoken over you. His word carries power greater than any circumstance, stronger than any enemy, deeper than any fear. The reason the struggle has been so long is because God is preparing something lasting. Quick blessings fade, but divine blessings endure. Temporary comfort can't compare to eternal change. God doesn't just want to fix your situation. He wants to fix your foundation. He's been rebuilding your heart so that when the blessing comes, you can hold it with wisdom. You asked God for success, and He gave you struggle because success without strength would destroy you. You asked for peace, and He allowed storms because peace learned through the storm cannot be shaken. You asked for growth, and He allowed pain because pain teaches what comfort cannot. God always gives what you need before He gives what you want. Don't mistake the silence of God for the absence of God. Silence is often the space where faith matures. When you can't hear God, it's not because He's far, it's because He's working in ways you're not meant to see yet. The seed doesn't see the gardener, but it feels the soil shifting. It doesn't see the sun, but it feels the warmth drawing it upward. You might not see what God is doing, but deep in your spirit, something is stirring. That's the sign that breakthrough is near. The ground may have been hard, but your roots have gone deep, and God never lets deep roots go unrewarded. There's a shift coming, a divine reversal. The very thing that caused you pain will become the stage for your praise. The people who mocked you will witness your rise. The places where you felt small will become the grounds of your expansion. God specializes in turning humiliation into honor. That's His pattern. He humbles you before He lifts you. He tests you before He trusts you. And He hides you before He reveals you. You weren't forgotten. You were hidden for protection. God was keeping you out of reach from what would have destroyed you too early. But now, your season of hiddenness is ending. What was private pain is about to become public testimony. Tonight is not just another night. It's a divine appointment. The same God who brought light into existence is about to speak light into your darkness. You are not too far gone. Your situation is not too complex. Your wound is not too deep. Nothing is beyond the reach of God's hand. He is the one who restores what the world calls impossible. He revives what others have declared dead. And He does it not because you are perfect, but because you are His. When God claims something as His own, no power can destroy it. There are moments in life when you must stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Use me." Because when you allow God to use your struggle, He turns pain into purpose. The same tears that fell in weakness will one day fall in gratitude. You'll look back and realize that every no was protection, every delay was direction, every closed door was mercy. God never subtracts without multiplying later. When He takes something, He always gives back more. You may not understand the equation now, but when the miracle manifests, it will all make sense. You've been walking through a season where your prayers seemed unanswered. But what if I told you the answer was never no? It was not yet. God's timing doesn't align with your calendar, but it always aligns with your destiny. If He gave it too soon, you might mishandle it. If He gave it too easily, you might forget where it came from. So He waited. He let the struggle stretch you, the waiting refine you, and the delay teach you trust. Now you are ready. When God shows up this time, you will be prepared to hold the blessing with humility and gratitude. Your spirit is stronger than it was a year ago. Your prayers are deeper, your discernment sharper, your faith more mature. That's what struggle does. It upgrades your soul. You no longer beg God to remove the storm. You've learned to find Him in it. You no longer panic when things fall apart. You trust that something better is forming. That's spiritual maturity, to walk through fire and still say, God is here. That's when your struggle ends, not when circumstances change, but when your heart does. Because once your faith reaches that level, nothing outside you can defeat what God has placed inside you. Some of you are at the edge of a breakthrough, but fear is whispering that it won't happen. Don't listen to fear. It's the enemy's last defense before surrender. Fear always grows loudest when the miracle is nearest. That's why everything feels so intense right now. The pressure you feel is a sign that the birthing is close. God has been pushing you out of the old and into the new. The discomfort is not punishment. It's transformation. The struggle is not against you. It's for you. The same force that felt like opposition is actually the wind that will lift your wings. God is about to do something that will make sense of every sleepless night. He's about to show you why He let you walk through certain doors only to close them again. He's about to show you why certain people left your life when you needed them most. He's about to reveal why certain plans failed, because if they hadn't failed, you wouldn't be standing in the place where you're about to be blessed. Sometimes God allows loss to clear the way for gain. Sometimes He allows emptiness to prepare you for overflow. When you lose something and still choose to trust God, that's when miracles begin to unfold. And when God shows up, He doesn't just fix one thing, He restores everything connected to it. He restores your peace, your confidence, your direction, your relationships, your opportunities. He breathes life back into what seemed hopeless. He reopens paths that seemed permanently closed. And He does it in such a way that no one can deny His hand in it. People will look at your life and say, only God could have done that. There's a reason you've been hearing, wait. There's a reason things slowed down right before they accelerated. God always pauses before He promotes. That pause was not rejection, it was preparation. If you're still standing, if you still have breath, if you still believe, then your story isn't finished. The God who began this journey with you is not about to abandon you halfway through. He finishes what He starts. He fulfills what He promises. He brings completion to what He initiates. And tonight, that completion is closer than it's ever been. Lift your heart again. Stand firm again. You're not at the end. You're at the turning point. The very night that looked like the end of your story is about to become the beginning of your testimony. God is about to write a new chapter that will redeem every page of your past. The pain you carried will not be wasted. The lessons you learned will not fade. The faith you built will carry you into seasons of unimaginable blessing. The struggle ends tonight because your perspective is shifting. You're no longer a victim of your circumstances. You're a vessel of God's power. You are no longer defined by what went wrong. You are defined by what God is about to make right. The tears that once fell in sorrow will soon fall in awe. You will stand in places that once felt unreachable and know it was not luck. It was divine orchestration. So stand still and let God move. Don't rush what He's perfecting. Don't fear what He's rearranging. The God who formed the mountains, who commands the stars, who knows every hair on your head, is not confused about your life. He knows exactly what He's doing. When He moves completely. When He heals fully. When He restores abundantly. You are stepping into a new season. The long night is ending. The wind is shifting. The atmosphere around you is about to change. The same God who saw you through the storm is now leading you into calm waters. The same hand that held you in struggle will now lift you into victory. You are about to witness what happens when faith and divine timing meet. And when it happens, you'll know your struggle truly ended the moment you decided to trust that God was still in control. When God decides that your season of struggle has fulfilled its purpose, no force on earth can extend it another day. The hour of divine visitation cannot be delayed. What has felt like endless waiting suddenly turns into acceleration. What was once stuck begins to move. The same doors that refused to open now swing wide. The same ground that produced nothing begins to bloom. This is how God works. He transforms what was barren into abundance. He doesn't need time. He only needs your trust. And tonight, the very trust you've carried through pain and silence has summoned the arrival of change. You may have thought that your cries were unheard, but your tears have been the ink on heaven's scroll. Every tear carried a message, and God has read them all. Not one has been ignored. When your voice trembled in prayer, when your strength was gone, when your hope faded into whispers, God leaned in closer. He does not need loud words to hear the heart. He hears the silence of faith. The world sees your struggle as weakness, but God saw it as faith under fire, and faith under fire is the faith that moves mountains. You must understand that every great destiny is born through discomfort. The greater the purpose, the heavier the pressure. Diamonds are formed through heat and compression. Gold is purified by fire. Faith is strengthened by resistance. God does not test you to destroy you. He tests you to prove you. He refines your soul so that when blessings come, they find you ready to carry them with gratitude and humility. The process was not cruelty. It was craftsmanship. God has been molding you with divine precision, shaping your heart for a future that will glorify His power. Many people pray for blessings, but few are ready for the weight of them. Blessings require maturity, patience, and depth. That's why God allowed you to face what you faced. He was deepening you. He was enlarging your capacity to handle what's coming. When the blessing arrives, it won't crush you because you've already endured the pressure. You won't break under it because you've been built for it. The struggle was strength training for your soul. It taught you how to stand when everything falls. It taught you how to believe when nothing made sense. And that kind of strength doesn't fade. It grows with every act of trust. You've been walking through a season of pruning. Things and people have fallen away, not because God was punishing you, but because He was protecting you. Not everyone can go where you're going. Not everything can survive where God is taking you. The higher the altitude, the thinner the air. That's why He's been cutting away distractions, attachments, and influences that would have weakened your climb. It hurt, yes, but it was holy. You prayed for elevation, and this was how God answered. Some of you have been asking, when will it end? The answer is, when you understand what it was meant to teach you. God does not allow pain without purpose. Every season carries revelation. Every trial carries a hidden lesson. Once the heart learns, the struggle loses its power. Once faith matures, the test is complete. So tonight, ask not for escape, but for enlightenment. Ask God to show you what He was forming within you all along. Because the moment understanding enters, peace follows. And where peace abides, struggle loses its grip. You have walked through a valley that few understand. You have faced loneliness that words can't describe. But know this: God was closest to you in the moments you felt most abandoned. He was not silent because He didn't care. He was silent because He was watching your strength unfold. He knew you could endure more than you believed you could. He knew that your faith, even when fragile, would carry you forward. You thought you were barely holding on, but from heaven's view, you were standing tall. Every step you took in faith was an act of victory. Now the time has come for the tide to turn. The struggle is ending not because the world has changed, but because your spirit has shifted. You are no longer fighting in your own strength. You are resting in divine assurance. That's when the winds begin to change. God always rewards those who surrender completely. When you stop striving and start trusting, miracles start moving. When you stop controlling and start believing, peace replaces panic. The human heart becomes most powerful when it releases everything into the hands of God. Some of you have been walking through closed doors, wondering if God has forgotten you. But not every closed door is rejection. Some are redirection. God shuts what would harm you. He withholds what would delay you. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and thank Him for every detour. The road you thought was wasted was the very road that led you to destiny. God's wisdom often hides in disappointment. The path you dreaded was the one that preserved you. That's how He works, protecting you through what feels like pain. There are moments in life when you must stop rehearsing your wounds and start declaring your victory. The longer you stare at the scars, the smaller your faith becomes. But when you lift your eyes and focus on what God is doing now, strength returns. Stop reliving the chapter that ended. God has written a new one, and it begins tonight. You are not defined by what hurt you. You are defined by what healed you. You are not the sum of your pain. You are the vessel of divine purpose. Don't underestimate the power of endurance. Faith that lasts through darkness is the faith that commands light. The night may have been long, but it has made you wiser. The waiting may have been painful, but it has made you sharper. The loss may have been heavy, but it has made you fearless. You are stronger than the storm that tried to break you. The proof of divine favor is not the absence of struggle, it's the ability to stand through it and still believe. That's what God has built within you. That's what tonight represents, the moment your faith outgrows your fear. And now, the atmosphere around your life is changing. The weight that sat on your shoulders is lifting. The same energy that drained you is being replaced with peace. The doors that refuse to open are beginning to unlock. You don't have to force it. You only have to align with it. God is not asking for effort. He's asking for surrender. Because when you let go, He takes over. When you stop worrying, He starts working. Every ending in your life was a setup for a divine beginning. What looked like failure was actually favor in disguise. God closed those chapters not to punish you, but to free you. He couldn't let you build your future on foundations that couldn't hold your calling. The struggle you endured wasn't random, it was refinement. He's been purifying your motives, clarifying your purpose, and strengthening your spirit. You are not the same person who entered the storm. You've become wiser, calmer, and grounded in truth. That transformation is the true victory. You are about to step into a moment where everything will make sense. God never writes confusion into the final act. What was scattered will be gathered. What was broken will be restored. What was delayed will be delivered in divine timing. You will see why you had to walk through every valley and face every silence. You will look back and say, it was worth it, because the glory of what's coming will erase the sting of what you endured. Tonight, stand in stillness and let your heart absorb this truth. God is not late. He's exact. He is never behind schedule. He arrives precisely when the soul is ready. The moment you release your timeline and embrace His, you align yourself with miracles. The moment you stop resisting His plan, you begin to see His hand. God is never hurried, yet He's never delayed. His timing is a symphony, every note perfectly placed, every pause intentional. You are on the brink of divine manifestation. The same God who orchestrated the stars has orchestrated your steps. The same power that holds the universe together holds your life together. Nothing about your story is accidental. The struggle was the proof that you were chosen for something extraordinary. The waiting was proof that heaven was preparing the stage. Now the time has come for revelation. God is about to unveil what He has been shaping in secret. So walk forward with boldness. The season of struggle is over. You have cried your last tear of despair. You have fought your last battle in your own strength. God is here, and where He is, victory follows. The light of His presence will now illuminate the path ahead. You will move with peace instead of pressure, with faith instead of fear, with certainty instead of confusion. The night is breaking. The dawn is near. The struggle ends tonight not because the world changed, but because you finally see that God has been in control all along. You don't have to chase what's meant for you. It's already on its way. You don't have to beg for what's been promised. It's already written with your name on it. God is about to show up in ways that will leave you speechless. When He moves completely. When He speaks, His word transforms reality. And when He blesses, no one can take it away. Be still, breathe deeply, trust completely. The waiting season is over. The struggle has fulfilled its purpose. The breakthrough you've been praying for is now at the door. And when it arrives, you'll understand that every moment of pain was a necessary step toward divine perfection. God was never distant. He was simply preparing the moment when your faith would meet His power. That moment is now. Tonight, heaven touches earth. Tonight, your struggle ends. Tonight, God shows up. When you lay your head down tonight, I want you to remember this truth. Your struggle ends tonight because God is stepping into your story. You may not see how, you may not understand when, but the hand of God is already moving. Heaven is not silent. It has heard every cry, every prayer, every groan from your heart. God is not far away. He is near to the brokenhearted. He is present in your room right now, in your pain, in your uncertainty. The night that once terrified, you will become the night of your greatest awakening. The same darkness that tried to destroy you will be the stage where God reveals His power. So stand tall. Lift your eyes toward heaven and say within yourself, I will not fear, for God is with me. Say it until your soul believes it. Say it until the walls of doubt collapse. Say it until peace returns to your spirit. Because God has never left you for a moment. He has been walking beside you through every trial, guiding you even when you thought you were lost. You were never forgotten. You were never abandoned. What felt like silence was preparation. What felt like rejection was redirection. What felt like defeat was divine setup for victory. God does not waste pain. Every tear that fell was counted. Every sleepless night became a seed for tomorrow's strength. Every unanswered prayer built endurance within you. And now, the time has come for God to show you why He made you wait. This is not the end. This is the turning point. The door that was shut is about to open. The burden that felt too heavy is about to lift. The storm that has raged for too long is about to calm, not by your strength, but by God's command. Do not let the memory of past failures convince you that your future is over. God does not define you by your mistakes. He defines you by your resilience, your faith, your willingness to keep going when everything told you to quit. The struggle that once broke you will become the testimony that strengthens others. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. You are still standing because God has sustained you. You are still breathing because God has a purpose left for you to fulfill. Let tonight be your surrender, not to despair, but to divine power. Stop trying to carry what God has already promised to lift. Stop fighting battles that belong to Him. The moment you stop striving and start trusting, you create space for miracles. God cannot move in a heart that is clinging to control. Release your worry, your plans, your expectations. Lay them all before God and say, I trust you with my life. And mean it. That's when change begins, not when you see the result, but when you trust the one who writes the result. God has seen how tired you are. He knows the weight you've carried in silence, the pain you hide behind your smile. But hear me, that burden is being lifted tonight. Not because the situation suddenly becomes easy, but because your spirit is aligning with divine strength. God is renewing your endurance. He is restoring your hope. He is reminding you that no darkness can outlast His light. No pain can outpower His plan. No delay can deny what He has decreed. You've come too far to give up now. You didn't survive all that just to stop short of your breakthrough. God didn't bring you this far to leave you empty. Every closed door was protection. Every delay was preparation. Every hardship was molding your character for what's coming next. You may not feel strong, but God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. You may not see the way forward, but God already mapped it out. You may not understand the timing, but when it happens, you'll realize it could not have happened any other way. So tonight, make a choice, a bold, life-altering choice, to believe again, to trust that God is still in control, to let go of bitterness and hold on to faith, to stop focusing on what you've lost and start preparing for what's coming. Because something is coming, something only God can deliver, something that will make you forget the pain of the past. The season of delay is ending, and a season of divine manifestation is beginning. The enemy tried to convince you that your life would always be this hard, that things would never get better. But God has already written a different story, a story of redemption, a story of peace. A story where the one who was crushed becomes the one who conquers. God is turning your mourning into strength, your confusion into clarity, your fear into faith. What once made you tremble will soon make you testify. What once made you cry will soon make you grateful. So as you listen to these words, I want you to rise within your spirit, lift your head, because you are not defeated. You are chosen by God to stand in this moment as a living testimony of endurance, faith, and divine favor. Let every breath you take tonight be a declaration that God is still good, even when life is not. Let every heartbeat remind you that your purpose is not over. God's promise still stands. You are stepping into a new dawn. The same God who split seas, who brought light out of darkness, who raised nations from ruins, is the same God watching over you. Nothing has been wasted, not your pain, not your waiting, not your tears. Every piece of your story is being woven into something beautiful, something powerful, something divine. Walk into tonight with confidence. Speak to your soul and say, peace, be still. Tell your fear, you have no power here. Tell your doubts, God is greater than you. And believe it with everything in you. Because God is about to show up, not in a small way, not in a quiet way, but in a way that leaves no room for coincidence. You will know it was Him. You will see His fingerprints all over your breakthrough. And when it happens, your heart will remember this night. Not as the night you broke, but as the night everything changed. This is the moment where faith meets fulfillment. This is the moment when your cries turn into songs of praise. This is the moment when heaven moves on your behalf. You've waited, you've endured, you've believed, and now God steps in. So stand still and watch. The struggle ends tonight. God is about to show up, and when He does, nothing in your life will ever be the same again.